It's your future. Make it amazing. Discover the power
Oh, no.
of the University of Arizona online degree.
Not ads.
With 100 plus programs, you'll never settle for anything less than
I should have
amazing.
signed up for
Go
YouTube
to
Red.
online.arizona.edu to apply.
Hello, Discover Card here to explain our cashback match. We
Yeah.
all of the cashback you earn at the end of your first year, automatically.
I'm not
It's
even
that
going to get
simple.
money for these
Discover.
ads.
Exceptionally common sense. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
Exotic inspired by State Farm's surprisingly great rates.
It's so cheap. Yeah, gotta be
Fuck these ads. They've got too many mid-roll ads. God damn it.
your average Joe.
Like a good neighbor.
And none of them are skippable. Well,
It's your future. Make it amazing. Discover the power of a University of
no, I'm not going to go to the University of Arizona.
programs. You'll never settle for anything.
I went to
less
drama
than
school and I
amazing.
respect myself
Go
too much for that.
to Arizona.edu to apply.
How's it going? I'm just going to turn this down all the way. That was a Roaring 20s lo-fi playlist. Hey guys! Hey Lizzie! Hey Mandy! Hey mother of mine! Hey everybody in chat, how's it going? I thought I'd start the night. Oh, thank you, Mandy. Thank you for the dress compliment. This is a unique vintage, inaccurate 1920s flapper dress. I bought it specifically for the episode in my Mummy series about Tutmania, 1920s Tutmania. And so, sticking with the theme, I decided to make a gin cocktail, and the only gin cocktail recipes ingredients that I had was a gin martini. As you can see, I like it very dirty. Martinis for me are an opportunity to just like mainline pickle juice or olive juice, whatever. Oh, my father's watching too. Of course he is. I knew you guys were there. He's a lurker though, not a chatter for the most part. Hi, Dad. So hi everybody. What's up? Can you all hear me okay? Is everything I haven't streamed in so long, and I haven't streamed by myself ever. So I hope everything's okay. Hey Sam, hey Neil. Hi friends. Hi. So this is my 5K subs stream. This is a thing that people do a lot, isn't it? Mic is super crispy in a good way. I hope that's in a good way. That's a good thing? I think that's a good thing. Lizzie, my husband says olive juice is I love you when he's silly. I was just thinking that, like that thought passed my head. Okay, I'm blowing out the volume a little bit. Should I turn down the gain? If I turn down the gain, does that sound worse or better? Worse or better? Hello, testing 1 2 3. Okay, so I just had my gain was too high. Cool. Hi. So yeah, this is a thing that like people do. Okay, maybe I should explain this. So in August of 2020, I made a video called This Mummy. I swear to God, I've only had one sip of this. Called This Video is About the Mummy 1999. And it was like a bait and switch because it was about the Mummy 1999, but it was also about the way we consume nostalgic media when we're in periods of great stress, like worldwide pandemics and the police constantly killing people in your neighborhood. And I kind of like did this like throwaway joke at the end of it. Because basically, if you haven't seen the video, I did like a fake ending and then a second ending where I basically said that I would be making a series of videos that kind of use the Mummy 1999 as like a springboard to talk about things like Egyptomania, which is kind of related to Orientalism, and like the repatriation of artifacts to their home countries, because I wanted to talk about things like that. I still haven't made the repatriation video. It's on the list. And just like as, Mandy, I love those videos. Thank you. Thank you. The Mummy has like become my personality now. I swear to God, it wasn't before. It just like started as a bit that I did for this video. And hi, Freya. And the bit didn't die. And now I have a Mummy bumper sticker on my car. And people just like come up to me and talk to me about the Mummy. It's great. So I had this like throwaway joke that I made, like, I'm gonna have to do a whole video about Rachel Weisz's eyebrows because hi Harker, hi, how's it going? Nice to see you, Harker, all the way from Australia. What time is it there? It's tomorrow, right? You're in the future. I did this throwaway joke about Rachel Weisz's eyebrows because inevitably, like, that's always something that comes up in conversation if anybody mentions the Mummy. First, you talk about like how fun it was, and then people talk about how hot it was and how it turned them into a bisexual, because that's like the first thing that you think of. And then inevitably somebody says, I almost didn't recognize Rachel Weisz because her eyebrows are so thin. So I just like did this throwaway joke, and then started to get like a lot of comments about it, and a lot of people saying like, where's the Rachel Weisz eyebrow video? And I was like, oh God, I gotta actually make it a real video. And I was thinking like, yeah, I'll do it at some point, but it'll be about makeup. It'll be about like beauty trends in the 1920s and in Egypt. And I'm not sure what I have to say about that, because like a big thing for me is I usually feel like I have to have like a special take. If I'm like compelled to make a video, it's because I have something to say about that. It's not just educational. I think the exception to that would be like my horny history series. One video. I'm going to be doing another one with Harker. I swear to God, it's still coming. I've been really busy lately. And in that one, I don't really have like a thesis statement. It's more like I'm telling an interesting story to, a funny friend of mine. But for the most part, for like video essays, I want to have something interesting to say. So like I kept putting off the Rachel Weisz's eyebrows. Also, like I say Rachel Weisz. Is it Rachel Weisz? Am I pronouncing it wrong? I might be. And if I am, big apologies, because I go out of my way to correct everyone on Brendan Fraser. It is Brendan Fraser, not Brendan Fraser. And if you pronounce his name wrong, he will hunt you down and he will give you a hug and very politely tell you to pronounce his name correctly. Anyway, so I sidetracked myself. So like I kept putting off this video because I didn't really like have a take on it. It's 1 p.m. there. Oh, okay. Well, that's a perfectly reasonable time to be watching a stream. Enjoy your lunch. If you want to have like a mimosa, I think that's an appropriate thing to drink at 1 p.m. or at 8 a.m. Because I didn't have any kind of a take on the makeup, the history of beauty, or anything like that. So I finally said, like, okay, I will do a video about Rachel Weisz's eyebrows, if I get to 5,000 subscribers. And I recently passed that, and I was like, all right, well, I gotta make the video. And then it literally just occurred to me a couple of days ago that most people do like X number of subs stream. So there's already like kind of like a precedent to do a stream. And that if I did a stream, I wouldn't necessarily have to have a take because we could all just like chat together and learn together. Wikipedia says it's pronounced Vice, so I think you're good. Thank you, Naomi. Hell yeah. I thought it was because her parents are Eastern European, right? Hi, John. Hi. Friends. Oh my gosh. Hello to all my, also like there's a lot of really great YouTubers in the chat right now. So if you aren't already following Mandy and John and Harker, go do that. So yeah, anyway, my plan, can't stay for long because you are in London now, right? Or are you still up in Scotland? Yeah, it's quite late there. You're 8 hours ahead of me. Thanks for stopping by. Oh yeah, everybody's dropping in with my correct pronunciation of Vice. I'm so happy because I would have felt like a little pretentious if I was pronouncing it like a V and it's a W. It's Friend Stream Wednesday, yeah. Okay, so if you haven't noticed, I'm not wearing any makeup, and I was thinking for this, it's past 2 a.m. Oh my god. Well, you might as well have a little nightcap if you're not already. Like you should have a drink with me. I'm having a gin martini right now, and I'm gonna move on to some of that red wine afterwards. I've got to catch an early flight in the morning, and my mom says want a dad joke. Anyway, I gotta catch an early flight in the morning, and this is how I'm going to sleep early. It's only 6 p.m. here. What's the dad joke, Mom? You already had a wee wine. Good. That's how you stay up till 2 a.m. So yeah, I keep getting sidetracked, and I'm sorry for the people that are watching this in the future, because this is going to go up on my channel. I'm going to try to put time codes in for all the little sections, so that like if you want to skip around instead of just watching a full stream and wondering where it's going, then you can do that. I'm going to be a good YouTuber. But I'm going to put this in the playlist with the other mummy videos. It's going to be a video about 1920s beauty trends and ancient Egyptian beauty trends. And we're going to go on a little journey and learn together. Oh, my mom says, the joke is, good thing they didn't name her Adel or Adele. Edelweiss. Yeah, that would have been pretty cruel of her parents if they did that. It's a good thing they didn't. Jason Fly Guy says, I feel discriminated against as the only person not in possession of alcohol. I believe Mandy said she's drinking an H2O cocktail, which is very good for you. Oh, Lizzie's drinking water too. So it's just us troublemakers that are imbibing alcohol. Anyway, so my plan for tonight, first thing up, we're going to follow a historically accurate makeup tutorial. Dad said it, not me. I know. You said it was a dad joke. Hop tea, Naomi, is that alcoholic or is that non-alcoholic? Is it made from hops? Okay. So we're going to follow a makeup tutorial. And I'm just going to kind of change some... Oh, apologies. You're looking at my... There we go. Hey! I figured it out. Okay. So we're going to follow this makeup tutorial. This is by a YouTuber with a hell of a lot more subscribers than me, Zabrina, if anybody knows about her. And I actually stumbled upon her because I was in a movie that needed like 1950s, 1960s kind of style makeup. They sent me a couple of her videos to like learn how to do my makeup for that. So I haven't like vetted like what her background is. All of the stuff, at least from like what I know about 1920s beauty and fashion, my limited knowledge seems to check out. So basically, like the 1920s were kind of like the first big like makeup era. There was a little bit before that, but it was kind of considered a little bit of a faux pas to wear makeup until the 1920s, and kind of like the advent of a film industry. And suddenly you had these actresses who were wearing lots and lots of makeup because they had to, their features had to read on camera, like mine are not doing right now. And regular women started to emulate that somewhat. And the eyebrows play into that. So we're going to talk about Rachel Weisz's eyebrows. And the eyebrows are like the intersection of what was popular in the late 90s and what was popular in the 1920s. They are technically accurate, but they're not there because they're accurate. They're there because in 1998 that was a huge trend. So I'm gonna just play this video and respond to whatever she says, and also follow this makeup tutorial on screen for you all. I hope you enjoy. You follow along at home. Grab your eyeshadow palette. And let's make ourselves look like Zelda Fitzgerald. Wait, before I move on, how's the sound on... Oh, fuck it, I did the wrong thing. How's the sound on that? Anybody... Was that... Should I play more of it so you can hear? Harker's inhaling vapor from the bathroom cleaner? Wow. You're really getting high. That's dangerous. Be careful. A little... Okay, maybe a little loud, but maybe sounds good. Let's see what it's like when she starts speaking. I might pause it again for you guys. We're figuring this out as we go. Oh, fuck!
Infused with
Not an ad! Oh my god.
New Nivea sensitive and radiant lotion.
Luckily, they're skippable.
Hi, gorgeous! Sabrina here. Today we're going back to the 1920s.
Okay, how's the sound? Oh, it's fine? It's fine? Okay, cool. We're going back to the 1920s, guys. No! Oh, I'm fucking it all up.
Infused with nourishing serum and provitamin B5.
Let's try that again.
Nivea sensitive and radiant lotion.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you a completely authentic makeup tutorial for this era. Now, many of you know that I do a lot of research for my videos.
I need a second monitor.
As it is. So this video is no exception. It has been heavily researched. Every fact that I'm sharing with you in this video is authentic and verified. Before we get started on the tutorial, I just want to share some background information with you on this era so that you do get a better understanding of how makeup has evolved in our history. Now, in 1910 is when a lot of the products that we use today were invented, including mascara, lipstick, blush, eyeshadow, eyeliner, all of those great makeup tools. But they really didn't come onto the scene until the 1920s, and a lot of that had to do with marketing and movies of the era. Another reason makeup didn't really become popular until the 1920s is because prior to the 1900s, there was still a stigma associated with it, and it wasn't good. In the 1800s and more along the lines of the Edwardian period is when you see makeup being worn mainly by prostitutes and actresses.
We do prefer the term sex worker.
Real women of societal status did not wear a lot of makeup because they didn't want to be associated with prostitutes or actresses. That was like a huge no-no during that time period. And actually, a lot of stores that sold cosmetics had back doors where these women would go to purchase their cosmetics. They didn't even want to be seen going into the store, let alone coming out with the products. The 1920s was a post-war era, and in this time period is when you started to see the sex ratio among men and women become skewed. And so there was a lot of emphasis placed on sexual beauty. A lot of the publications of the time period were telling women to apply a lot of makeup to their faces in order to be able to compete with men for jobs in the workforce. And so what you're seeing among women when it comes to makeup in the 20s is an artificially created face. They placed a lot of emphasis on dark eyes, dark lips, pale skin. They really liked the contrast that was played between all of those elements. So knowing all of that history, let me show you this tutorial that showcases the 1920s beautifully. The 1920s is really the birthplace of the modern day smoky eye that we've all come to know and love so much. And it was characterized by being very dark and extremely black, sometimes gray. This is also the time period when eyeliner was the big thing of the day and when it really came onto the scene. Because during this time there was a lot of discoveries happening in Egypt, so everyone in the period was obsessed with everything Egyptian.
Tapmania, baby!
So to begin this look and mimic that type of history, I'm going to be using a black eyeliner pencil. Black eyeliner was the key makeup tool. What I'm going to do is line the upper lash line here with it, also put little dots on the lower lash line, and then smudge it out.
I just realized that I completely forgot my brush. I'm actually going to be using a potted eyeliner. Give me 1 second. Not me forgetting my shit. All right, I'm here. Luckily, my apartment is a box, so it didn't take very long to run to the opposite side of it and grab my brush. Okay, so we're dotting. We're dotting with. I forgot a mirror too. Hang on. God, I'm so useless. Okay. Hi. Okay. So, we're dotting.
And don't worry about being accurate. You can see that I've missed some spaces already. That's okay, because you are going to be smudging this out, so it doesn't need to be perfect. And it's best to apply little bitty dots instead of fully lining that lower lash line, because when you go to smudge these dots together, it's going to be less of an intense effect.
Ooh, that looks pretty.
So the brush looks like that. And we're going to go along and
I'm actually using, it's specifically designed for smudging, and it looks almost like an eraser. I don't know why I'm pretending to be a YouTuber right now. I just feel like I need to provide some commentary.
just smudge out the black eyeliner.
Are you following along at home? I hope so. Oh.
And don't worry about looking like a raccoon because
Okay, I need more time. While I'm taking more time, I'm gonna see what the chat's going on. I believe the standard advice is you use your phone as the monitor and flip back and forth. I'm using my phone as the camera. Yeah, I need I need the chat open on another monitor if I'm gonna stream. At least you're not a YouTuber that uses ad block. That would be hilarious. No, because I will not steal money from other YouTubers. I watch every ad. I do watch ads from smaller creators. But if you got a ton of subscribers, I'm hitting that skip ads button. Am I just like losing all of my viewers now because they're like, oh no, she's following a makeup tutorial? We're gonna see how well I can do my makeup. Not very. All right, Nancy. iPad. Yeah, if I'd been cleverer, I could have set that up. Okay. All right. So I'm at the raccoon eye stage.
because I look like a raccoon right now. But I'm going to be cleaning this up with concealer when we are done with the eyes. For the eyeshadow in this look, I'm going to be layering two different MAC eyeshadows. The first is going to be Silver Ring, and the second is going to be Print.
Infused with nourishing serum and provitamin B5. New Nivea Sensitive
No
and
thanks.
Lotion.
So I'm going to start by applying Silver Ring.
Wouldn't it be embarrassing if it was like a
Roll
PragerU
onto
ad
the
or
lid,
something?
Go over where we smudged out that black pencil.
Okay.
And we're going to carry Silver Ring up past the crease, more towards the brow bone.
Look at the state of
Once you
this.
have that color down, then you can go back.
So one of the little eyeshadows broke inside. It's always tragic when that happens. All right, so I'm taking this up. I'm taking it up to my brow bone. Getting my small little eyes nice and big. I like pretty. Not like I got punched in the face. Oh. Talk amongst yourselves. All right.
With Print, and we're only going to be applying Print onto the lid portion of the eye. So right there, you don't want to carry this color above the crease. This is really just going to be focused more on the lid.
So this is the dark one. Mine's much darker.
Yes, the 20s was very daring. It's probably what I love most about the makeup of that era, is that they were not afraid to take risks. To blend out the harsher edges of Silver Ring up here, I'm going to be using the MAC 217 brush with Blanc Type. And to add some more emphasis to the lower lash line here, I'm going to go back with the MAC 263 brush and MAC's Typographic. And smudge just slightly once again on that lower lash line. In the 1920s is when you first saw women beginning to pluck their eyebrows. But the
Here we
true
go.
art of plucking really didn't occur until the 1930s. They just did minor plucking in the 20s. And what was also characterized in the 20s with the eyebrows is that the line out here was drawn down toward the temple. So it actually dipped down further, right more about there, compared to today's modern brow, which ends right at the corner of your eye. The eyebrows in the 20s were also extremely thin, so I'm not going to take the time to fill them in like I normally would. I'm just basically taking one swipe of my pencil here, and that's it.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do, because I have much thicker eyebrows than Rachel Weisz or this woman on my TV. I'm actually going to take some foundation, and because I'm not going to pluck my eyebrows, you guys. I'm not that dedicated to the craft. I'm going to try to color them in basically with foundation, and then I'm going to redraw them with an eyebrow pencil that I also don't have here. I took so much time to like put everything out, but I didn't make a list, so I'm missing a couple of things. All right. I'm going to, no, wrong one. I'm just going to switch back to this guy. No, this guy. Hi. Oh, God, I can't do anything. Oh, goodbye, Jason Fly Guy. Hi, Nightwing PhD. How's it going? Hi, Ben. Okay, I'm getting my eyebrow pencil, and then you're gonna watch me fucking try to paint out my eyebrows so that I look like Rachel Weisz in The Mummy 1999. Here we go. And while I'm doing that, I can see my chat and answer questions. Mandy, I'm so excited for this eyebrow content. Jason Flaga. Oh, I have to run to a train soon, and I thought you were leaving. So you don't want to have thin eyebrows on the train. I heard they're coming back. There have been several fashion magazines who have that have said the thin eyebrows of the 90s are coming back because, you know, nostalgia cycles or whatever. And I think we should resist at all costs because it's not a good look, you guys. I mean, like, if you have naturally thin brows, it's fine because that's kind of like the way your face is. But the overplucked thing where you can tell that your eyebrows are really in pain. It's not a fun or good look. Okay, I got these little clips. I'm gonna keep my bangs back. I really need a haircut. Mandy, I really don't know how to do my eyebrows. I've only just started filling them in and shaping them vaguely this past year. So my little beauty secret is I just pluck the unibrow. Like, I won't even try to shape them because I wouldn't even know where to start. I fill them in. I shape them with makeup, but with, like, epilation, absolutely not. All right. So I often use my hand as a palette. I don't know if that's gross. It's the back of my hand, so it's not the part that I touch anything with. And I've also got a little bit of, what do you call that? Primer here because my pores are very big. And I'm going to use that primer on the parts of my face where my pores are big. Ben, have some dollar. I've always had such a weird fascination with mummy, so it seems like this channel is made for me. Yeah, it is, because I've just, like, made it my personality now. Legal Kimchi. Hey, Legal Kimchi. My mother tattooed her eyebrows. Unsure if that's an Asian thing or a broader thing. The permanent eyebrow thing is pretty common, actually. I don't know if it started as like another cultural thing that white people just adopted, but a lot of white people tattoo their eyebrows on now. I've seen it done really well and really, like, subtly, like microblading, and I've seen not so much. Oh, you were watching the stream at 2 times to catch up. Oh my gosh, that's lovely. Well, if anybody else has just joined and you don't want to do that, this will all be up on my channel. And as soon as I can, I'll go through and edit the description and add in all the time codes. So, like, if you don't want to follow the makeup tutorial, but you want to jump in later on when we watch a video about Egyptian beauty trends, ancient Egyptian beauty trends, you can do that. You can skip around, have a good time. I don't know how long this is going to go. It's not going to be like 4 hours, but, I'm not one of those streamers. I get tired. Okay. Let's put some shit on my face. So that's where I've got some bad pores. And that's where I've got some bad pores. And that's where I've got some bad pores too. Also on my chin. Oof. Alright. Now, let's just start with these eyebrows, baby. It's not going to be perfect, but I think it'll, like, kind of thin them out enough that then I can kind of draw over the top. Your old parents get tired too. I know. I'm actually surprised you guys even made it to the beginning because you're on the other coast. You can drop out anytime and just rewatch this later. Does it look like... Yeah, it looks like my eyebrows are disappearing, at least on stream. This was a good move. I'm making good life choices. So what else? Those of you who have followed my channel for a little bit, have noticed that like I went away for like a couple of months after crying about how stressed out I was, and then only came back recently with a video. For a little while there, I was working 80 hours a week because I was working at my normal day job where I was salaried, and I was also doing Halloween Horror Nights on top of that. I was a scare actor. I was scaring people at Universal Studios Hollywood, and I had the best time. And if you go to my Instagram, my personal Instagram, my like Amanda Hootman Instagram, not my little Hoot Instagram, at Amanda Hootman. I've got lots of pictures from doing that, and it was so much fun. But also I was very tired and very stressed out. And now that job has finished, and I stepped down from my salaried job. So now I've got too much time. Well, not this month. This month because it's holidays. But soon I will have too much time. Nightwing PhD. I'd mostly met Asian and Latina mothers who had done the tattoo trick from the San Francisco Bay Area. Not sure how that started and how common it is outside of that. Okay, that makes sense. Actually, speaking of legal kimchi, I believe it was you who had the question about whether or not, or maybe it was somebody else. I'm so bad at this. Who had the question about whether or not maybe Rachel Weisz's eyebrows in The Mummy 1999 were a bit of brown washing, like they were trying to pluck her eyebrows to make her look, because the character is supposed to be half Egyptian, which is an interesting point. I think it was more a combination of, in the late 90s, early 2000s, very, very thin eyebrows were on trend. And in the 1920s, very, very thin eyebrows were on trend. So it was kind of like that. I would think if they were going for making her look more Egyptian, they might have gone like the opposite way. Like they might have tried to thicken her eyebrows a little bit, just because I would think that they would use... it was your question. Okay, I thought it was your question. I would think that they would try to err towards the kind of like ancient Egyptian effigies that we have, that have got like the kind of thicker, longer eyebrows. But I'm not sure. And that was like a good point. Like maybe they were trying to make her like change the look of her face to make her look a little bit browner. I don't know if they did much to change. Sam's got a split. Oh, have a good one. Have a good night. Yeah, I'm not sure if they did much to brown wash her. They certainly brown washed Arnold Vosloo, our titular mummy. They kind of tanned him up. Jason Flageye, my sympathies to a fellow victim of capitalism. Have some survival paper and be well. Thank you so much, Jason. That's really lovely. I really appreciate it. I'm almost done here. What do we think? I mean, I think my eyebrows are like pretty pale now, at least on stream. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. I've got an eyebrow pencil. That's the wrong side of it. I've got an eyebrow pencil, and I'm going to trace along the top of my eyebrow to create a thin line. In the 1920s, and even more so into the 1930s. The Mummy 1999 is set in 1926. So we're like right in between late 20s into the early 30s. It also doubles as practice because I stole it from a large corporation. That's wonderful. Stealing from corporations is praxis. So in the 1920s and into the 1930s, they drew it down, like she said, because of Egyptomania, but also because, again, relating back to the film stars wanted to have that kind of droopy, sad, like melancholic look. It was very popular. They often my eyes go the opposite way, but it was very popular to have those kind of like droopy 1920s, like smoky, flapper eyes as well, because it made you look like you were kind of emotional and sad. So I'm gonna draw on some eyebrows by tracing my natural brow line and bringing it down a little bit. And in the 1990s, I don't 100% know why it was a trend, other than just nostalgia cycles. Thin eyebrows were a thing in the 1920s, in the 1930s. Oh, I really went hard there. In the 1920s and the 1930s, they took a break for a few decades. They came back in the 1970s, and then I feel like by the late 90s, maybe it was like a little bit of 70s nostalgia. Also, I found an article on Glamour that blamed the entire trend on Drew Barrymore because she has naturally quite thin brows, and then in the 90s, she plucked them even more thin. I don't know about blaming all of a fashion trend on one person. I shouldn't say blaming. I wouldn't say that... Whoa. Someone's fighting next door. I wouldn't say that, like, an entire fashion trend rests on the shoulders of one starlet. But sure, yeah, she was like an it girl in the late 90s. So maybe that's part of the reason. This looks so stupid, but I'm doing it. My goal is to look stupid on stream tonight. Okay. How do I look? mainly. I definitely remember some 70s nostalgia in the late 90s. Definitely. Bell bottoms came back. And there were remakes of like the Brady Bunch and stuff. I'm going to pour myself a glass of wine. Look, I put it back here. There's just a bottle of wine back here. Like I planned it and everything. Mama's gonna sleep well tonight for about 3 hours. All right. Nostalgia cycles are weird. I've been seeing Gen Zers dressing like the 1970s now. Yeah, and like the 1990s, which I guess is nostalgic for the 1970s. Yeah, and that's why a lot of fashion magazines have been saying overplucked brows are coming back and we should resist it at all costs. Again, if you naturally have thin brows, that's fine. But if you don't touch them. Just pluck the unibrow. Keep a nice, healthy, normal brow. Mom, you and your friends were listening to 70s music a lot back then. Yeah, I was like a cool girl that was into classic rock. That's me. Cool girl Amanda. Okay. So, I am going to return to our friend, this lady. I didn't put it on big before. Because I have a confession to make. I usually watch videos like this like a psychopath. Okay, I'm gonna make it big.
I didn't find this in my research, so this is just my personal opinion. But seeing how far they allowed the brow to dip down there reminds me of some of the Egyptian makeup that you would have seen from that time period as well. So this more than likely was also inspired by the Egyptian obsession that they had during this time period. Mascara was a new thing of the 1920s, and no woman could resist darkening her lashes. And actually, before mascara became really popular, they would take household products like petroleum jelly, which we now know as Vaseline, and mix it in with soot or charcoal to get a really nice black mixture. And then they would apply that to the base of their lashes.
Can you imagine like the eye floaters you would get from mixing petroleum jelly with soot and then putting it on your eyes? Like, just like everything you looked at would be like hazy all the time. Not to mention you would have smudges in 5 seconds flat.
To darken them up with a fine brush. Towards the middle of the 1920s is when you start to see mascara come out in tube, wax, cake, and liquid form. And the difference between the wands back then and the wands now is that in the 1920s, the mascara wands didn't have any sculpting abilities whatsoever. They were really just there to help apply this dark liquid to the lashes, thicken them up, and make them look fuller. So women had to rely on tools separately, like eyelash curlers, to help sculpt the lashes and give them definition and shape. So I'm going to go ahead and curl.
I'm not going to curl.
Here with a Shuyumura. You know I can't say that word. Shuyumura. I'm going to apply a waterproof mascara.
Okay, so I actually have a cake mascara. This is by Besame. I kind of hate it. It's not very good mascara if we're talking about the formula. I'm going to use it for this for accuracy's sake. It's a little bit damp. I wonder if it's damp enough. It'll be fine. I'm using it right now for accuracy's sake. There's barely any left. I was using it for a while because mascara tubes aren't super hygienic. I guess you could get like just a bunch of like a few different brushes and like just clean them every time or toss them, which isn't very environmentally friendly. But basically like they kind of like if you use the wand that goes in your mascara, it breeds a lot of like bacteria from your eyes in there. And just having like something that's a little bit more open and breathable is like slightly better for you. No matter what you do. I mean, I'm using a wand right now, normally, not right now, but like day to day. No matter what you do, like just make sure if you wear mascara, throw it out like after 3 months tops, because it's a good way to get pink eye. Also, don't share mascara wands with anybody. Anyway, so I bought the cake mascara during a time in which I was like, I need to have mascara that breathes. I don't know why I didn't get pink eye or anything. I just got I guess some slight germophobia with my makeup. Anyway, I decided to use it for this because it's the most historically accurate one. Although she said it existed in tubes. I don't know. I'm just going to put on a little bit here while she's putting it on there.
And funny enough, this is from Max Factor, who was an innovator in this time period in terms of makeup.
Fun fact about Max Factor, his building, the Max Factor building, a very famous pink and green building here in Hollywood, is now a shitty tourist trap museum.
To add even greater emphasis to the lashes, I'm going to cheat a little bit and apply some false eyelashes to really make the eyes stand out.
I'm not.
And I'm wearing a pair from the new lash line. These will be formally announced next week, so do stay tuned. This pair is called Moonlight Dancing. So it's just a sneak peek of
Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus now bundled together. The great
No, Disney.
characters and tons of shows.
I don't want to hear about vertical integration right now.
The whiter you could get your skin to look, the better it was.
Good for
They
me.
tried their way to make their faces really pale, really white. And they really liked this look back.
So I'm not 100% sure about the 1920s, although I think towards the end of the 20s this also applied. But into the 1930s, when the Mummy 1999 is set, actually being tan also came into style. We tend to think of kind of anything pre-1960s as having super emphasis on being super pale, because for most of human history there was an emphasis on that as far as beauty goes, because if you didn't have to work outside, if you were a member of the aristocracy, you tended to be paler than someone who did have to do hard labor. So it was like kind of a sign of wealth. Into the early 20th century, a sign of wealth was being able to afford to travel. So this was like in the 1930s, and I believe at the end of the 1920s. Again, I could be remembering this wrong. But in the early 20th century, basically, it started to become popular to sport suntan, because it meant that you had the ability to go skiing or go holidaying on an island somewhere. So the kind of pale look that we associate with anything before Twiggy is not necessarily always what was in style. I think there was definitely some overlap. What we're doing right now in terms of makeup is definitely more of a like Zelda Fitzgerald style flapper girl kind of makeup, where, you know, drinking in secret bars and that kind of thing. And that's definitely a very pale, sallow aesthetic. Anyway, it works for me because I don't have to use any bronzer or anything. I don't know if you know many strawberry blondes, but we don't tan well.
Back during this time period, because it allowed the eyes to really pop out because the eyes were really dark, and the lips to pop out because the lips were also very dark, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. There were no bronzers, there was no tanning lotions, nothing like that. It was actually opposite of what you see now. And I actually miss that kind of thinking myself. So I'm applying just my regular foundation, which I'm already super duper white as it is, so I really don't think I need to go a shade whiter to show you a really pale complexion, because I'm there, baby. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you, they really packed the makeup on during this time period, so don't be afraid to go heavy, cake it on, build it up. And to set my face today, I'm gonna be using Ben Nye's Neutral Set. Great face powder, keeps the face matte for a long time. Prior to the 1920s, women were using something called elixir blushes, and these were very messy and hard to work with. But eventually they were replaced in the 1920s with creams, liquids, powders, and even rouge papers. And the invention of the spill-proof container and compacts for blushes that we all use today is what made them more popular during this time period. And when women applied blush to their face in the 1920s, they would do it in circular motions, right about there on the face. The angular blush that we all have become accustomed to was not something that they used in this time period. And by putting the blush in round circles on the face here, it helped the face appear rounder, which was that desired look.
So I also did a Ben Affleck movie that was set in the 1920s. And on that, what the makeup artists on that taught us was that the application of blush, much like the application of rouge for women in the 18th century, when rouge was very, very popular in the 18th century, it was applied in a way that was less about contouring the face, as she said, and more about like and less perfect. It was okay to look a little bit blotchy because the idea was to look kind of naturally the way we do when we blush. So nowadays blushes usually come with highlighters and bronzers and that kind of thing. And the idea is to kind of sculpt the face into a certain shape that we find attractive. Whereas back then it was really to emulate the look of being flushed, which is why there's this video of, I can't even remember what organization was interviewing him, but Jordan Peterson goes on this rant about how, and he calls it rouge, which is how you know he's an 18th century dandy trapped in a 21st century corpse. But he goes on about how women apply rouge to look like we're orgasming. And the nugget of truth in what he's saying is in the 18th century, and then I suppose in the 1920s, because they applied it in a similar way. Yeah. The idea was to emulate that flushed look that you get. If you've ever looked at yourself in the mirror after you've made out with someone, your cheeks and your lips and kind of all of you is a little bit redder. So the idea was to like have this kind of like blotchy. I say blotchy in a very attractive way. The flushed look that you get. And the Jordan Peterson thing just always makes me laugh because it feels like he looked up a Wikipedia article about blush and just saw the like first thing about it that he could, and it's completely divorced from like the way we use that kind of makeup today, which is again to create a different effect. It's usually to make us look very chiseled and like we work out our faces as well as our bodies, because everything nowadays has to be very angular. Anyway, so like she said, the desired face shape was kind of round, and the application of blush wasn't so much about sculpting the face as it was about like getting this kind of like cherubic effect.
Using that information, I'm using a Sigma F40 contour brush with Max Tenderling, and I'm using a very light colored blush. This is a very pale pink, really. It's a barely there type color, but you could use brighter, bolder pinks if you wanted to be a little more over the top with the look, because they weren't afraid of using makeup in this time period. It was highly, highly emphasized. In the 1920s, they had a preoccupation with the lips. They were obsessed with shaping the mouth. And there was actually something invented during this time period called metal lip tracers, and these ensured a flawless application when women would apply their lipstick. And actually during this time period is when the mirrored lipstick containers were invented. Depending on which end of the 1920s you're focusing your look on is going to dictate which shade of lipstick that you choose. If you're going for an early 20s look, then you'd want to pick a deep classic red, deep brownish red, plums or oranges. But if you're focusing more on the end of the 1920s, this is when you started to see raspberry colors and medium red shades. But of course, I'm going to go with the early 20s for this look, and I'm choosing a deep, dark, beautiful red in Max Brick au Noir. During the 1920s is when you saw a new lip trend taking place, and this is called the Cupid's bow. What it was that they drew the outline of the lips smaller than the actual lip pattern was, and they placed heavy emphasis on the center of the lips, both on the bottom lip and the top lip. So the Cupid's bow was very emphasized. This was made popular by a lot of Hollywood actresses of the time, specifically Clara Bow. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and apply the red lipstick, and then I'll define that Cupid's bow.
And that was definitely something from the film that I did as well, is so like the way I would apply my lipstick if I was gonna do my makeup just like as a me, is I would draw outside the lines because I need bigger lips. So like I'm like, honey, feel free to improvise. But in the 1920s, it was very much like inside the lip. So I'm not gonna draw all the way out. I'm gonna have very thin lips on this stream, and I'm probably gonna cry myself to sleep about it a little bit later.
With a lip brush. I got some big lips, so I'm not going to fill in all of my lips. I'm actually going to leave some of my lips outside of the outline.
This very much reminds me of Hocus Pocus lips.
Okay, so I have the shape formed here. And I'm going to go in with the lip brush and really emphasize that shape here. So I'm not sure how well you can...
They also would not do like a super thick application. It would be like what I've done just now, and you know, lots of blotting.
See this, but you can see that the lips are emphasized up there on the Cupid bow. I didn't fill in all of my lips on the side, so it does cut down further than it should. And same thing on the side, it cuts in further right there on the bottom. And what I did was I applied the lipstick, and then I went back with some of my foundation and just cleaned up some of the edges along where I wanted it to really be thinned out.
Good idea.
I hope you found this helpful today, and if you missed the 1940s tutorial that I did, I'll put that link below for you as well. And let me know where you want our time machine to travel to next. You never know what era we're going to end up in an upcoming video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
All right. How do I look? Are you guys still there? Okay, let's bring back random blotchy facial redness as a trend instead of skinny eyebrows. I'm all for it. I actually like really love that. Like if you go back and look at like 18th century portraits, you can see it. You can see the way they apply the rouge. And I think it's really cute. I think it's like, you know, the people who have that like really beautiful, like very British skin, where they've just constantly got like a little flush of red, especially when it's cold out. I think it's adorable, and I'm here for it, and I would like to emulate it, if at all possible, because I don't have skin like that. Wait, is the color a name play on Ricola? Oh, I don't know. Okay, sorry. I'm backtracking here because I wasn't seeing rosacea for the win. Hell yeah. Where are my rosacea stands in the chat? Okay. Mom, your grandmother always said you have to blot your lipstick after applying it. I agree, and I didn't always used to agree. I used to apply my lipstick very thickly, but recently I've really been trying to blot and feather a lot of it. I like that, like, very, like, K-pop girl, soft, velvety, like, feathery look. Also, I'm cleaning all my brushes with some MAC brush cleanser. I'm like 2/3 of the way out because I use it a lot. Clean your brushes. If you wear makeup, do it. You don't have to fully clean them every time. I've also got like a little elf spray where I can like spray them between like proper cleans, but I kind of clean them off every time, like every other application of makeup, because like you don't want, your face is full of so much bacteria, and you don't want that just like sitting on a thing that you're gonna put back on your face later. That's my left tube, BewTube recommendation. Now that I've established myself as the official BewTuber of LeftTube because I followed one makeup tutorial on a stream. Mandy, oh my god, my face gets red all the time. It will happen for no reason. I love... Oh, Legal Kimchi, thank you so much. Good night. Whatever time zone you're in, sleep well. Are you on the East Coast? Sleep well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you on Twitter. The best application always makes it look like normal skin tone with a bit of pizzazz. That's right. That's right. I love that your face gets red all the time, Mandy. I wish mine gets, I blush in like the weirdest places, so I hate it. I get like the sunglasses blush, right there. I don't like it very much. I wish I had like a nice flush. So yeah, that's the makeup tutorial. I've got other things planned, I promise. Now that I'm all dolled up for my 1920s night out with my thin eyebrows and my thin lips and my black eyes. Can you tell that this is not my favorite beauty era, the 1920s? I do think both Mummy movies that we acknowledge went right was in not doing 1920s makeup on Rachel Weisz, and just letting her natural beauty shine. Speaking of Rachel Weisz and her natural beauty, a friend of mine, we were talking about Rachel Weisz's eyebrows in The Mummy 1999, and we were arguing about whether or not it was done because it's accurate for the 20s or because it was in style for the 90s. And again, where I've landed is it's probably a bit of both. And a friend of mine, I forget who it was, it might have been Katie. I don't know if Katie's lingering. But somebody I was having this conversation with found a picture of her in an earlier production where she had ultra thin eyebrows in the 90s. So we landed on it was just she was in on the fad. But in preparation for this stream, I tried to find it, and like all of her IMDb before this, she seems to have like her normal eyebrows. So I can't find the picture. However, I did find, we're going to close this out. I did find this picture, which is, oh no, it was during the filming, like almost towards the end of the filming of The Mummy 1999. Oof. Rachel, that looks like it hurt. That looks like it hurt. But again, this was from August of 1998. Principal photography on The Mummy 1999 ended days after this was shot. So this was definitely for the movie. And I can't find the evidence that I once had that that she had thinner eyebrows before. I can buy this from Alami for $19.99 though, which is pretty special for $19.99. Anyway, I wanted to pull that up. So I Googled Rachel Weisz 1998 to see if she had thin eyebrows and anything else. Like, they're thinner than they are now, but they're not this. So I think this was done in an effort to be historically accurate, / maybe because it was on trend in the very late 90s into the early 2000s to have barely there eyebrows. Oh, the picture is hidden by your cam. Okay, well, then I just got to do it again. History, we're going to go Rachel Weisz 1998. You're going to get a good look at this. Oof. I don't like, so like part of the reason I don't shape my own eyebrows, aside from just thinking like, you know, unless something's terribly wrong, like usually you're born with roughly the right shape and you just got to get rid of the unibrow. Part of it is also because like, I don't even know, like, how do you get to this point? How do you do that? It looks very painful, and like I wouldn't even know where to start. I feel like I would pluck a zigzag in my eye or something. Also, I'm using Streamlabs OBS Streamlabs. Wait, I'm doing the wrong one. Fuck. And I recently found out that they're bad. I don't know. I didn't look into it. So maybe I need to change my streaming software. Oh my God. Hoots, I love you, but you're still too big. Okay, so I've turned this off, right? Display capture is on. This is what happens when you have a cocktail and a glass of wine before you start to stream. Can you see it now? Enjoy and absorb it. So thin. Sorry, guys. Now I'm turning off display capture. So like a powerful image. Truly, like they're like I've been done psychic damage from that thin line. Freya, I swear I have so few eyebrow hairs. All of them are load bearing. If I pluck the wrong one, I could accidentally. Yeah, I mean, holy crap. Yeah, I don't like. I've got medium sized eyebrows. I don't know. But I fear the same thing. I fear if I tried to shape my eyebrows at all, I would end up like doing. I've definitely seen girls who have accidentally just had the like. Where they get trimmed to like here because they pluck too much. The puppers need pats. Yeah, there's a couple of dogs that are having a heated debate in the park next door. The eyebrows scared the dogs. Oh. Rachel Weisz is all of us. I mean, like, and she grew them back for the second movie in like less than a year. I think it was 2001 actually. So she had 2 years to grow them back. But like, well done to her. There's some people from the 90s who like never got their eyebrows back. I remember. So I like. Luckily, I remember this trend, but I am still too young to have participated in the trend. I was a little preteen back then, and when I was 12, I participated in the Barbizon modeling school scam. It was great. It was fun. It was like summer camp for me, so it worked out fine. But I do specifically remember them like lecturing us and telling us no more anorexic eyebrows, and like good on them for that. They're like, anorexic bodies, totally fine. Anorexic eyebrows, don't do it. The upset dog is totally adding to the wine party ambience, unironically. Yeah, it's almost like I'm like a soccer mom whose kids are on at a sleepover or something. An arch is only as strong as its weakest brick. They should legit like put that up on the wall, like live, laugh, love style in eyebrow bars. What is going on? I hope it's fun, Barks. Oh my gosh. Do you guys wanna watch another video? Do you want to watch a video about ancient Egyptian beauty secrets? Are you ready? Do we need a top up? I need a top up. Do you need a top up? Soccer mom hoots for president. I never want to be president because have you seen the way they age? I'm not about that life. Sure. Okay, we're ready for another video. Okay, so this next video is a video about ancient Egyptian beauty. It's a little bit on the longer side. It's like 20 minutes. But this one's a little bit more. The last one, I haven't looked up her credentials. Alex Blake, hey Alex, yeah, you're here just on time. We're just about to watch a video about ancient Egyptian beauty secrets, and this is by a very famous YouTuber who is an Egyptologist, and also loves the 1920s aesthetic because she looks like something right out of a 1920s fashion magazine. So she's with a guest just discussing some ancient Egyptian beauty secrets. Not so much secrets, just like practices. Oh, hey, Rachel. Nice to see you again. You guys can't see her. Why don't I turn my display capture on and I'll do that. Rachel. Oh, no. Okay. Makeup and beauty in ancient Egypt. So this is the vintage Egyptologist. If you guys haven't run into her before, she's also got many more subscribers than I do. About 60K more. She's great, actually. I watched a video where she gave a tour of her home in the prep for my Egyptomania video because she and her husband have got a bunch of relics from the 1920s and even from the 19th century Egyptomania period. Anyway, let's enjoy this video. Go subscribe to her.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr.
I mean, look at her.
And with me today is Michelle Corsi. And
Oh.
Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus.
I keep forgetting that this is going to happen every time because I will not sign up for their premium service.
answering your questions about ancient Egyptian makeup and cosmetics here on the Vintage Egyptologist YouTube. And earlier today, we filmed an incredible makeup tutorial that you can check out at My Vintage Love blog. Yes, on My Vintage Love blog on Instagram or My Vintage Love here on YouTube. And it was really fun. We did a daytime 20s look and then transitioned it to a flapper vamp evening look. It was really wonderful because Colleen has a perfect 20s face, as you know. Thank you so much. I don't think I can hear that enough times. I know, right? Never gets old. So what I want to start with, looking through the hundreds of questions that we received for this episode, is with an object. And this is a vanity set in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It is from 1800, roughly, BCE, meaning that it is 3,800 years old. And
So that is, if I'm doing my math correctly, about 1,000 years after the Imhotep scenes. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think the Imhotep scenes are supposed to be at 2700 BCE. I could be getting confused though. Oh, this is another like behind the scenes little hoot thing. A couple of my facts in the original Mummy video are inaccurate because I was going back and forth between the paper script, the script for the mummy, and the final edit, and the timeline shifted a lot between the two. So when I was writing my script, I was like editing as I was going, and I fucked up some math. I got really confused moving between different timelines, and also having to factor in the fact that time numbers move backwards before the Common Era. So go watch my video again and point out all of the mistakes to me. I love it when people do that.
And it looks just like a modern vanity set, doesn't it?
It really does. I would 100% put this on my vanity. It's tiny and compact, which
I
makes me
wouldn't.
think that we would appreciate it now, and they would have appreciated it in the 20s.
I mean, it's very nice, but I wouldn't.
Tiny compact.
And it was just large enough to actually have a hand mirror. And of course, you can't do your makeup without a mirror.
You definitely need a mirror to do your makeup. 100%. It's fascinating.
And we know that the surfaces would have been polished. There's a fabulous example, also in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where the handle is gold and the mirror surface is silver. So if...
Isn't it? I'm not going to stop it like every 20 seconds. But isn't it wild that like up until very, very, very recently in human history, like you only kind of had an idea of what you looked like? Like, cause like mirror technology as we know it is not really that old. And for a long time you were just looking at yourself in polished pieces of metal. And if you've ever seen yourself reflected in polished pieces of metal, I mean, I guess it's kind of accurate. You sure can't see how big your pores are.
If you get to the same level in the case, you can see your face reflected in this mirror.
That's amazing. And it would have been a relatively small mirror to fit in the compact case.
Yeah, it's roughly that
Right.
size.
That's pretty, you can definitely see your face in that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Yeah.
And so the less expensive models would have had polished bronze, but the queen, who actually owned the gold and silver mirror in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, obviously coming from the absolute upper echelons of society.
And how much makeup was worn by all classes versus just the upper classes and royalty? Was it very much the provenance of that world, or was everyone wearing it, of makeup of some kind?
That's actually a really, really great question. And it's hard to say because of our source material. So most of the times when we see depictions of farmers, of people working out in the fields, making wine, all of these day-to-day activities that we see, herdsmen, for example, in Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, and New Kingdom tombs. That's an elite context. That's a wealthy tomb owner depicting people. And obviously they want to show themselves in absolute finery. And we know that during festivals and ceremonies, most people probably aspired to have a full face of makeup. Now, the extent to which that happened on an everyday basis, like I said, it's very hard to gauge because of our source material.
So in ancient Egypt, was there makeup for special occasions like weddings and things like that?
So it's really interesting that the annual festivals that we know were really important in communities like Thebes and modern day Luxor, as well as all throughout Egypt, each city had its own festivals. And then there seemed to have been national festivals like the New Year's, which would have happened really end of July, beginning of August, where everyone partook of these massive ceremonies, and drinking as well as wearing your finest clothing and makeup and wigs would have been a part of that. But it's
Love that.
also really interesting looking at the evidence from ancient Egypt that we don't have any descriptions of wedding ceremonies.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you would think,
Wow.
with a society so focused on religion and ritual,
Yes.
weddings and marriage were predominantly an economic affair in terms of a bringing together of two estates. At the same time, they were affairs of love. And so if you fell out of love with the person that you had married, you could divorce and remarry. And there wasn't these elaborate religious rituals or annulments that would be needed to make those arrangements. Instead, you would have an economic renegotiation. And we have that really well attested in the ancient papyri. So we've gotten a little bit of...
Hey, are we having trouble hearing the video? Sorry, I just got the message from Mandy. Okay. To echo some, the stream is only showing her from the nose down. Okay. Okay. Is it
from makeup.
Is it better if I leave it like this? Like I watch videos like a fucking lunatic? Thank you for reaching out to me on Discord, Mandy. I need a second monitor. Is it okay? I'm gonna go back to this. Does this look fine? Smaller? Okay, let me see. Display capture. Do you need me to go away for a little bit? Does that help? Oh, fuck. Does it help if I go away? Thanks for telling me I'm doing great. I love to hear it. And sorry to anybody watching this in the future. Okay. Is this okay? No? It's not okay? No, you must remain? Oh, I must remain. Okay. But it's okay if I make the video smaller. Okay. It's a bit better, but still a little cropped. Do you want me to make me? Oh, shit. Not that. Camo. Make me a little bit smaller. Before it felt too zoomed in. Fuck. Okay. You're gonna see my whole fucking screen. And then what if I made me kind of, wait, no, I want to make me small. Fucking Streamlabs. Okay. I get nervous when she alt tabs to OBS. I feel like she's going to accidentally show us her bank account. No, but if you want to, I don't have any of those tabs open right now. Okay. I hope this is okay. I might be blocking this lady a little bit. Littlest hoot. Every time I try to make this tab smaller, it's like, absolutely not, you little bitch. Okay. Is this okay?
No, I just think that's
Is that okay? Is that okay? Is everything? Can you do window capture? Harker, I don't know. This is it. Display capture. Yeah. This is how the sausage gets made. If you're having really bad sausage, like some real Upton Sinclair bullshit, it's definitely improved. Okay. I can also skip around a little bit too. We don't have to watch this whole 30-minute video. Ooh, I would like to get to talking about this sexy couple, though. Oh my God, they look so hot.
Nofret and her husband, Rahotep. And they are...
Look at them. Look at him. I mean, I would swipe right. Look at his mustache. He's so handsome.
Absolutely perfectly preserved, down to the inlaid rock crystal in their eyes, so that when you look at these statues, it
rock
looks
crystal.
as if they're looking at you.
Oh, wow.
And in both cases, they are wearing makeup, which is really nice, interesting to see.
Yeah.
And they're both, the woman is wearing a wig. He is not. He's wearing close cropped hair. But we know that in other contexts, Rahotep, just like Nofret, would have worn wigs. But what I love about that statue...
I believe the wearing of wigs was a practical thing as well. In addition to eyeliner, we all know that kohl was done partly because it makes your eyes pop. It gives you the smize, but also because it helps. It's like a pre-sunglasses form of sunglasses. But wigs are also practical because, at least from what I'm aware, ancient Egyptians used to shave their heads to prevent lice. And then the wigs were made from real human hair. And you could take those off and keep them safe from pests. How's the chat doing? Does it look better? Super thin. Okay. He's got a strong case of the just got to third base mustache. Yeah, I mean, he definitely looks like a fuckboy, but I think that's why I'm kind of into him.
Is that she's wearing this very large wig, and typically they went larger on the hairstyles.
Yes.
Which are made out of human hair.
The bigger the hair, the closer to God, baby.
Very elaborate.
The higher they are, the closer to God. kind of thought.
Okay, I didn't make that joke because I knew it was coming. Hilarious. Like, I've seen this before, but I missed that joke on the first way around. Okay.
I just think there's a hieroglyphic
Okay.
equivalent of
Okay,
that.
yeah.
And you can see her natural hair right below the wig.
Oh, okay.
And since this is a statue, obviously, if they didn't want her natural hair visible, they would have changed that.
Yeah.
They didn't have to include that, but very often they do. So they're acknowledging, okay, this is her real hair. It was probably pretty close cropped, which is what would have been comfortable in the heat of ancient Egypt. But at the same time, then you put on that wig. So wigs, like makeup, were especially appropriate to these festival occasions, a time when the statues of the gods would come out from the temples, typically carried in portable barks, portable boats held on the shoulders of priests. And this would be a festival in which the entire population could participate. So unlike the sacred space of a temple where the average person could only go so far, and certainly was not part of the day-to-day ritual. That was for priests. Although, and I'm getting way off the topic of makeup, although I'll talk about whether priests wore makeup in just a moment. But it's interesting that not all priests in ancient Egypt were professional priests.
Oh, okay.
So even though we talk about priests doing certain things, this is not a separate class, which I think is really... It can be in the New Kingdom.
Okay.
But a lot of times people who were high priests even might have earlier in their career been in the military, been in the civil service. So it's not as if you have priests and then the rest of the Egyptian population.
Okay.
During the Middle Kingdom, for example, at a time when the man who owned that amazing vanity set, that would have been a time where a lot of people working in the temple would have been rotating throughout the year. So you would really have a sense of what went on within a temple complex.
Interesting. Wow, I always thought priests were just a class entirely to themselves. You know, almost from birth they were brought up as priests. But you're the professional. I don't know if that's right. It's one of those things where the more I listen to you speak and John speak, the more I realize, the less I know. It's my next phase of knowledge.
Well, thank you. But also, I feel like it's really important to address these topics because there's so many misconceptions about how ancient Egyptian society functioned. And I think that knowledge of marriage and priests and things that we might associate very strongly with Egypt that weren't true at all. And I think as a great tie-in actually to our makeup tutorial earlier is it's all about the sources.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you have to go back and read the hieroglyphic sources and say, okay, is this a professional priest or is this someone who's rotating? And we can see that in the titles. Just like if you want to research a 1920s makeup look, you don't simply Google 1920s makeup look. You go back to the advertisements and the movies.
Yes,
and the photos.
Photos, yes. And that's, if there's nothing else you take away from any of our videos, always go back to the original sources. Know what your sources are. Watching the 1960-61 Elizabeth Taylor Cleopatra is not going to tell you what you need to know about ancient Egypt. Go read one of their lovely books, or do look at the source material and watch an actual Clairvaux film, and instead of watching a YouTube makeup tutorial on 1920s makeup. If you really want to see what they were doing, that's definitely the best message I can send about just history in general. The source material is always the best place to start.
With the exception of the 20s makeup tutorial that
Yes,
we just filmed.
We just did. Other than
that one's legitimate.
100%.
And I'm really glad you mentioned Cleopatra because there were so many questions about Cleopatra. In fact, so many that she really deserves her own episode.
Yeah, I agree with that.
For those of you who really want to know about Cleopatra in detail, you will have to wait. But I do want to address the changeover between Pharaonic Egypt and the Greco-Roman period. And since you brought up Elizabeth Taylor and Cleopatra, this really important point that one of the queens of Egypt that probably very rarely wore ancient Egyptian clothing and makeup was Cleopatra.
Because she was Greek, is that correct?
Exactly. Cleopatra the Seventh, the famous Cleopatra, is the last in a very long line of kings that begins with Ptolemy the First, one of the generals of Alexander the Great, who takes over Egypt in 332 BCE. Now, we do not know exactly what Cleopatra would have worn in her day-to-day life, but chances are both her clothing and her makeup would have been in Hellenistic Greek style.
Yes.
This ties into like a very fraught topic that comes up frequently on the internet with Egyptology, and that is, what did the ancient Egyptians look like? And people argue about this a lot. The Ptolemies, like Cleopatra, probably looked Greek, and probably styled themselves Greek. However, like your commoner, your Egyptians, because Cleopatra was Greek and Macedonian. Your Egyptians probably, from what I've been able to see, the consensus is they look like what they look like today. And this is like a huge fraught argument, because people online be racist. And the white people who aren't trying to deny that ancient Egyptians even created the monuments attributed to them, much the same way anti-Stratfordians deny Shakespeare. Many of them think that they looked more like the Elizabeth Taylor depictions, and then there are also kind of like as a kind of reaction to that, there have been people who have claimed kind of ahistorically that they look more like the Nubians, the South Saharan Africans that Egyptians regularly interacted with in that period. And that's also likely not true, at least from what I've read. Like most ancient Egyptians just looked the way they do today, except for the Ptolemies. Greek people and Egyptian people don't look very different. So they might have looked like the rest of the Egyptian population. But as far as like the way they styled themselves, they would have been very Hellenistic, as she's about to get onto. And the converse of that, and I think I referenced this in another episode, I'm not sure, I can't remember, is Alexander the Great. When he was in Egypt and he wanted to style himself as Egyptian, there are statues of him looking very Egyptian. Like he's got the stylings of Egyptian, and also his features are depicted differently, and there are different depictions of Cleopatra as well on kind of Greco-Roman coins. She's got the more like aquiline nose. She's got like the more dramatic profile, and then in Egyptian styling, they're about to show like her styled very Egyptian. She's got the classic like Egyptian features, the like very what we would consider in the modern day very beautiful, the like big eyes and the small nose and the big lips. So depictions. In much the same way you can rely on like Henry VIII's depictions of himself too heavily in paintings, even more so with classical figures, because they would just completely change all of their features depending on what kind of gods they were trying to appeal to and what kind of culture they were trying to appeal to, and that is translated into like very fraught online racial arguments that I'm like, I don't know, someone who is not me should make that video essay, but from everything that I've read online, Egypt has been, the people of Egypt, Egyptians, have been pretty consistent over the last several thousand years.
Now, when she was in temples performing rituals, for example, if she traveled to the temple of Dendera in Upper Egypt, dedicated to the goddess Hathor, who we'll be talking about in more detail, that is where we have the most famous relief carvings of Cleopatra VII. In fact, those are the well-known relief carvings in Upper Egypt in full Egyptian style. And she's dressed identically to someone from over 1,000 years earlier.
Oh, amazing.
But some small variations, I should actually say. So when she went to perform these rituals as an Egyptian queen, then she might have worn the wig, then she might have applied the makeup, and then she might have worn the clothes. But how you see in the movie where she has, and I don't think any ancient Egyptian ever wore eyeliner that quite looked like that. Because if we look at the ideal of makeup, we think of the bust of Nefertiti, and that's very subtle.
Yeah, I mean, she just has the ringed around the eye but then pulled out slightly. That's pretty much it, right, in terms of eyeliner.
Yes, it's very, very subtle. And even her lip color is very subtle, her blush is subtle, so quite the opposite from what we see in movies like Cleopatra.
Yes. But I love how that idea kind of came together, and I just really wonder, like, what source material was Elizabeth Taylor looking at and the makeup artist for that to say, yes, that's the look we're going to go for. Because I think she did actually a lot of her own makeup in that movie, which is also is my understanding. I should probably look more into that, but I believe she did quite a bit of her own makeup, and then she would go out with Richard Burton on the town and leave some of the makeup on and get photographed by the paparazzi, and that's how it became such a big, fed into the 60s eyeliner extravaganza that was happening during the 60s, all the crazy eye makeup. So it's, feeding it into each other, which is just fascinating, I think.
Ad break. Time to pause. This is a long video. Oh, no, what am I doing? Hey, guys, how's it going?
And that's such a good point, right? That movie...
Okay. Interesting. I don't know much about Cleopatra and kind of thought her was like the white lady queen of Africa who took a lot of milk baths. I'm very curious how Egyptians engaged with hieroglyphics, letters, or simplified drawings. Yeah, there's discussion on that regarding the casting of the Philip Glass literally the last time I saw this argument come up in reference to Cleopatra was, and I don't know if this production is going forward, but Gal Gadot was cast as Cleopatra, and you know how online be. So a lot of there was outcry from a lot of people saying that a white woman was cast as Cleopatra, and then, you know, backlash. Macedonian. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. There was backlash saying that it should be a black woman, and then other people, like, more backlash from people saying, well, she's an Israeli woman, which is close, I feel like modern arguments about race are also, like, incredibly ahistorical, because definitions of, like, oh God, I'm a white woman talking about race on my stream. The way we classify race is, like, relatively very, very recent, very modern, and something that would be completely unrecognizable to the people of ancient Egypt. Where I fall down on this is I kind of feel like Egyptian people historically, for at least the last 100 years, have been robbed of their own history, kind of more than 100 years, but especially going back to the last 100 years of like Howard Carter's discovery of King Tut's tomb, that kind of like launched the more modern iterations of Egyptomania. So Egypt has kind of been put in the back seat of their own, like, history, and I kind of feel like it doesn't really matter what Cleopatra looked like, because of where her family came from, she could have been blonde, but I feel like an Egyptian actress should be given that role. Gal Gadot is lovely, and I'm sure she'll do a good job if the movie ends up happening. But I was personally a little bit disappointed. I feel like we get bogged down too much in these very modern discussions of, like, what is accurate to what the historical person would have looked like. And I feel like it's probably more important that an Egyptian actress should get that platform, personally, because Egyptian people have been kind of alienated from their own story for so long. Why can't it be an Egyptian actress one time? Like, I know Gal Gadot has got that, I was kidding, but Alexander was Macedonian and Ptolemy was Roman. Hellenistic people are modern Greeks who call themselves Hellene. It's a distinction that some people don't know. Well, thank you for that. I'm a black man, and I get a lot of dirty looks from people for saying Egyptians aren't black, because there's a clear ethnic distinction between sub-Saharan Africans and Mediterranean Africa. No one's claiming Moroccans are black. Yeah, and I mean, like, I am not the authority on racial discussions of ancient Egyptian people, but it's an argument online that comes up every few years, and it gets really vicious. And at least from what I've read from Egyptologists, is the people in Egypt have looked the way they have for quite some time. And again, like, racially, like, physically, I don't think it matters as much as allowing an Egyptian person to have the role of Cleopatra, if we're talking about that. Gal Gadot is lovely, but free Palestine, abso-fucking-lutely. I'm trying to be very diplomatic here. I'm sure she's a very nice person. And she's an okay actress. And she's very pretty. Which, at least according to contemporaries of Cleopatra the Seventh, she was not. She was, as is often the case with these like very famous seductresses in history, she was allegedly very charming, but like middle of the road attractive. Friend of the channel, Anne Boleyn, allegedly the same. Everybody said she was like all right looking, but mostly she had a mouth on her, and that was attractive. That's cold. Oh, okay. Yeah. Here I am getting shit-faced on my stream and calling Gal Gadot an okay actor. I liked Wonder Woman. I think that's the only movie I've seen her in. So maybe I've unfairly judged her. She's fine. I wasn't a big fan of the Imagine video, I gotta admit. And she was in Fast and the Furious. The original one? I think I've only seen the first one. I have a friend that wants to show me the whole Drink Merlot disc Gal Gadot. Yes! Listen. What I wouldn't give to look like her, but... Oh, the fourth or the sixth. Yeah, I haven't gotten that far. I have... She has the emotional range of a cold turkey. But she's so pretty. Yeah, I haven't seen the later Fasts and Furiouses. I have, however, ridden the tram tour at Universal Studios Hollywood that ends with the Fast and the Furious in 3D. And it's like, if you ever get a chance to do it, definitely do it, because it's great. The acting is like, if you think the acting is bad in the movies, in the Fast and the Furious 3D, there's like these like long pauses between everybody's lines, like they didn't really learn their lines before they got there. So they're not really like on top of it. It's very funny. Like, it's especially bad acting for them. And then like in the 3D section, there's a point where Vin Diesel like reaches up and grabs a helicopter and hangs onto it, and suddenly Vin Diesel goes from like normal size to like twice the size of the helicopter. Like, all of the proportions are way off in the animation, and it's like, honestly, it's the best part of the tram tour. Imagine I love that movie. I was in that culture. I'm in Florida and Asia. Fast and the Furious? Yeah. I'm from Florida. I'm not from the part of Florida that's cool enough to have drag racing, but I sign off on this. Crap, now I thought of the video. I'm going to listen to Amanda's music to cleanse my ear. Aw, thanks. Speaking of music, I do think I'm going to do another music stream. Well, I know I'm going to do another music stream on Black Friday. It's going to be a Black Friday, black tie music stream. For those of you who are fans of my video essay work, sometimes I also work as a singer. And during quarantine, a friend of mine and I started like streaming because we were poor and bored. Like, we normally have gigs in the before times, but during quarantine we suddenly weren't working as musicians at all. So we started streaming a little bit, and it's probably something that belongs on a separate sister channel, because it has nothing to do with my video essays. But I'm lazy and I want the captive audience that I already have with my 5,000 subscribers. Cheers to my 5,000 subscribers. I don't want to have to start over with another channel. I have the day off, so I'll try to stop in. Yeah. We have a few drinks. Up to a point, I sing better when I'm drunk. I just say that to make myself feel better. We usually have a couple of cocktails on stream, and we sing 5K woot for the hoot. Thank you. Please go subscribe to the Vintage Egyptologist and watch the rest of the video. It is a 29-minute video, so I think I'm not going to play the rest because I'm not like a streamer as a job. Like, if I was the kind of person that does those like 4-hour streams, I would. But I'm looking at wrapping this up like soonish. Okay, so I think I said earlier, I found, I just spit a little bit. When I was trying to look up like where the bread hoot, when I was trying to look up where the 90s into early 2000s thin eyebrows trend came from, I found a Glamour article that said that Drew Barrymore was the reason, because she already kind of like naturally has quite thin eyebrows, and then in the 90s she plucked them a lot. And I'm not going to read the article for you because that was basically it. It's just like, she was the it girl, and she was. And that's why we had thin eyebrows. I don't think it's just her, but I'll buy that she was very influential. What I did find, and I haven't watched this yet at all, like the other videos I gave like a cursory look at while I was washing dishes, just to like see what kind of info is there. Drew Barrymore did a 90s makeup tutorial. I'm not going to follow along this time. I bought wet wipes in case I wanted to wipe my face off and follow along, but I got to be honest, like I don't want to do that. But do you guys want to watch Drew Barrymore do a 1990s makeup tutorial with me? Great stream hoots. Thank you. Oh, good night, Mandy. Good night, night. Thank you so much for coming. Everybody go subscribe to Mandy's channel. She's a better YouTuber than I am. Anybody want to watch? I'm waiting for chat to catch up. Would you guys like to watch Drew Barrymore teach us how to do our makeup like it's 1998? I'll sit through that. Okay. I don't think it's very long. I'm going to do the... Wait, no. Wrong one. This one. Yeah, this one. I don't know how to... I need somebody else in charge of this. Okay. So, go subscribe to the Vintage Egyptologist. Watch the rest of this video. It's got a lot of good information, but... I want to go. I need to go finish packing for my... I'm going to Portland tomorrow. I think I might have mentioned it. I've got an early flight. Okay. We're probably going to get an ad as soon as I hit play. Also, this Zabrina woman comes up. I don't know if you can see it. I'm probably blocking it. The woman whose tutorial I watched earlier, like, she comes up as my recommended on everything. She's got a 1990s... makeup tutorial as well, apparently. But we're going to watch Drew Barrymore do it. It's the cut.
The Timberwolves select Kevin Garnett from Farragut Academy.
Okay. Goodbye. All right. Let's go, Drew Barrymore.
Hey everybody out there, I'm Drew Barrymore.
This is, by the way, I should say, she's only doing this because she wants us to buy her makeup line. So there is an ulterior motive here, but let's see what she has to say.
And I'm going to do actually my first Tip Tuesday for Flower Beauty of 2014 for the wonderful New York Magazine. The tip Tuesday for today is a fresh modern take on 90s makeup. As a girl who did a lot of makeup in the 90s, I feel like I should have something to offer on this subject. I'm going to do a liquid liner all the way across. And in the 90s, I always started in the corners. Nowadays, I sort of start from like past the pupil and just do a subtle cat more in the hairline. But in the 90s, we would definitely drag this thing all the way across. And you just want to really fill in the lines. And because this marker is really fat, it gives you a great chance to like, just in one felt swoop, really.
She's doing a cat eye. Was a cat eye a thing in the 90s? I don't think it was. If anybody who was wearing makeup in the 90s is in the chat, please weigh in. Again, I remember a lot of the trends, but I was not old enough to be wearing makeup or plucking my eyebrows at this point.
Get it in there. I'm also going to do the liquid liner across the bottom because it's a great way to know that the sort of black rim of this like great drawn on eye will stay in place. And then
I look terrible with lower eyeliner. I don't know why. I'm wearing it right now.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a black pencil liner, and to open up the eye, one of the best tricks in the world is to do liner on the inside of your eye on the upper waterline, something that we kind of neglect. So I'm going to go right on the inside all the way across, particularly in the corners. And
I didn't do that in the 90s, and I don't know if this is actually a 90s beauty tip. But I did do that in like 2007. So this is a economic crash era beauty tip.
And if I drag it all over and then go again down underneath on the traditional waterline, it just kind of brings it all together. And it softens the sharpness of the liquid line. And then I'm going to take my mascara end and really, really attack the bottom lashes. Never leave your bottom lashes unloved and out. A color that I sort of miss since the 90s is a great brick red, a red that has a lot of browns in it. It's amazing how quickly it makes all of your makeup pop immediately.
That is very 90s.
Take a tiny dab.
No, not the lipstick on the cheeks.
And I like my cheeks to match the tone of my lips.
What is this, the Great Depression?
Like I don't have
Don't put lipstick on your cheeks, guys. Don't do it. This is not formulated for your cheeks. Don't listen to Drew Barrymore.
Too many colors working on my face. Another thing I used to do a lot in the 90s was like a matte look. It wasn't the dewy time, it wasn't glossy, it wasn't highlighty. It was all about a bit...
That's true, very grunge, no shine.
More of a matte performance. So I'm going to go over everything with a pressed powder. And a great tip once you've done your eyes and your lips is just to go over with a concealer or a powder and take care of anything that starts to stand out, like little red spots or something that got picked up by the reflection of your lipstick. Because again, in the 90s, we all went for like this really matte, fair all over look. Don't neglect your eyelids, because when they're really, really beautifully powdered, it just looks more finished. I would also give the eyebrows a little love with our eyebrow pencil. And I think the best rule about an eyebrow pencil is to follow the color that matches the base of your hair. Nothing at the ends or anything that's like got highlights in it. That would be my modern 90s makeup look. So our eye-to-eye double-ended one-side mascara, one-side liquid liner, desert flower lipstick that I absolutely love, that I just think has this gorgeous tone to it.
Okay, now she's trying to sell us things. Her eyebrows now they're still pretty thin-ish. They're not super thin. but she had very thin eyebrows in the 90s. Let's look up some images. Well, that's one. Actually, they're pretty young. See, when she's natural, they're nice. They look so nice. Leave your brows, everybody. Don't pluck them. There's that. That's a very 1990s look. Thin and also very dark. Just like a dark line. Draw them on with a crayon. And I think this is the point where they were the thinnest. They're just like not there. So she was accused of being the, oh my fucking God. Where are they? Where are they? Oh, you can't see because my face is in the way. Okay. We're gonna visit this one. No. Take me to that picture of her. Here it is. There they are. Gosh, she looks like Frankenstein. Yeah, leave your brows, everybody. Leave your natural brows. Okay. Oh, bye, Harker. Trust the process. I haven't seen Drew Barrymore in a while. Last time, Santa Clarita Diet wasn't that long ago. It was just a couple of years ago. I think she did take a lot of time off, like being a movie star, to like just be a mom, which I support. You know, go once you've made your millions, go just like enjoy your life. And then, yeah, she's just worked on a couple of like passion projects since Santa Clarita Diet, and also, what is it? The kind of adaptation of Grey Gardens, that documentary. She was in that, which I saw on a plane. She was wonderful in that. She was so good. Only watched it the one time. You know those movies that you watch and you're like, this was amazing. Never have to see it again. Grey Gardens was one of those. But she was wonderful in it. Too Thin is the only time I was like, oof, Drew, eat a sandwich. For most of her career, she's made a point of being a normal-sized woman. Not to body shame. If you're naturally thin, that's fine. But Drew kind of starved herself a little bit for that role, because I think she was playing a very, very skinny woman, naturally. Oh, Jesus, I remember. Do you remember Grey Gardens or Santa Clarita Diet? Because Santa Clarita Diet was only a couple of years ago. It was like, what, 2017? I want to say. Drew does have a very lovely full face. She's got that Barrymore profile. It's very famous. The Barrymores are acting royalty, and they all have the same like kind of like neoclassical profile. They look like they belong on a cameo, like what I'm wearing right now. And she was famous for that. I'm actually, maybe it's because in the 90s costume dramas weren't like a huge thing, but I'm a little bit surprised that she wasn't in more of those. She was in Ever After, which holds the fuck up. If you haven't watched it recently, go watch Ever After. It's perfect. Yeah, if I could have changed anything about Drew Barrymore's career, she would have been in far more costume dramas, and she would have been, nominated for an Oscar for one of them. Yeah. So I think we're kind of coming to the end here. Now I'm coming to the very common streamer and YouTuber problem of how to end the thing. I thought costume historical dramas were a big thing in the 90s. Were they? I mean, I guess a little bit. Maybe she was like more rom-com-ish though. I mean, like even Titanic, like really the genre of Titanic was like disaster film, which was huge in the 90s. Again, nostalgia cycle from the 70s. 70s, ton of disaster films. 90s, disaster films. It was just like, you know, a disaster film that was made for girls. They're like, we got to put something pretty on them. Or was it the aughts? It might have been I mean, I'm trying to think. Like, Brad Pitt did a few period dramas in the 90s. When was Pride and Prejudice the miniseries? I think that might have been the early 90s, yeah. And Brad Pitt was in a few. It was like, yeah. I'm trying to think. Maybe it was bigger than I thought it was. 7 Years in Tibet. He did Legends of the Fall. He did the Anne Rice one. Yeah, there was a period of time where we were just like, put that beautiful man in a blouse. And it was the right choice. Maybe Brad didn't feel that way, but his audience did. Late 90s, though. 97 and 99. Yeah, maybe. Again, that was the period that Titanic was in, and I believe Ever After was the same period. I think it was 98, and The Mummy was 99. And I do feel like what makes The Mummy feel timeless is the fact that it's not of its time. So yeah, I think there was a big trend of like, they weren't like traditional costume dramas. They were always like genre films that were like dressed up like Call of Duty. Peace out. Bye. Peace out. I'm gonna wrap up soon. Yeah, they were like genre films that were like also happened to be in costume because they just had huge budgets. Wild Wild West. That's another one. I haven't rewatched that since I saw it in theaters when I went to, was it tennis summer camp? Something like that. The Mummy and the Matrix don't feel 90s yet being from 99. Yeah. Yeah. That's a product of like, so the Matrix is set in like the future, right? Or like a sci-fi world. And the Mummy is set in the past. If you give your movie like a setting that is outside of time, outside of your time, it does help like with longevity, I feel. The song I'm Blue and the band Avenged Sevenfold. Ben Sevenfold? Wait, what? Oh, so it would be from 99. So we've got Mandela Effect about I'm Blue. I thought I'm Blue was the 90s too. I was young then, gotta say. So my memories are fudged. I'm one of those mid-millennials where truly the formative moment for me was 9/11. That's one of my, I say earliest memories, but obviously I have earlier memory, but that's like one of the more clear early memories that I have, because I was fully a older child by then. Avenged Sevenfold. I don't think I know them. So yeah, writing a video essay, the ending is always one of the hardest parts. You're always like, God, how do I appropriately like sum up my thesis for this. And I feel like even more so with doing a stream, not a music stream, I guess, because like when Daniel and I do music streams, we just like decide to end on a big song, and that's a really easy way to end. Musical theater endings are the best because you're just like, let's put the biggest, loudest song at it, unless you're Adam Giddle and you're like, let's just end with one person singing. Usually it's like, put the biggest, loudest song, and then you're like, thank you everybody, good night. But as a streamer, I'm like, well, we watched the things I wanted to watch. Gotta wrap it up now. There's no thesis to a stream. A 9/11 is one of my earliest ones too. Sheesh. Yeah. Again, like I full disclosure, I was, when 9/11 happened, I was 12. So it's not like earliest memory, but it's like one of the like memories where like I think I still have like a very clear memory of events, whereas like some of the stuff from when I was like younger, like before 10, even watching The Mummy 1999, you know, I don't really have a clear memory of that. Eyebrows, thesis, conclusion, go. So my conclusion is that, okay, so my theory, at least, I don't know this for certain because I'm not a big enough YouTuber that any of the makeup artists from The Mummy would talk to me, and trust me, I've tried. But my theory is they plucked her eyebrows for the movie, even though we found, like, a friend of mine found a picture of her from an earlier film where she had thin eyebrows. I'm going to go with they plucked the eyebrows for the movie. They plucked them because they were in style primarily, but they thought we can go thin on the eyebrows because it's historically appropriate. And then when the Mummy Returns came around, they were like, bitch, grow your eyebrows back. This is no longer cute because it's 2001. Although I will say the thin eyebrows did persist in some circles for much longer. But with a lot of Hollywood actresses, they started to get thicker at that time. And a little bit more natural. And now we've got the Instabrow that I don't have because I tried to thin my eyebrows out. We've got the Instabrow that's like kind of the opposite. I don't feel like it's as damaging because you're not actually removing hairs. But like some of us, not naming names, some of us need to step away from the eyebrow pencil a little bit. They're getting a little too crayon drawn on. But again, not as damaging as don't overpluck your eyebrows because sometimes they don't grow back. And also, it's like you get a lot of scar tissue. Like, it's not super good for you. Karen Delevingne, thank you very much. I think those are all natural. Oh, little name drop. Several years ago, like, I think like 2012, I can't remember. I randomly went out drinking with Poppy Delevingne, Cara Delevingne's sister. I got really drunk with her. I had like a night of partying. Never spoke to her again, but it was fun. It's great. Hell yeah, last year TikTok had a thing where you shave off the outer third. Don't do it. Just leave your eyebrows alone. Like, unless you're, I don't know, unless something's really gone wrong, you probably were born with the right eyebrows. And if you want to like fill in some gaps with makeup, I definitely do that. You know, I also like my hairs. So I've got like medium thick eyebrows, but my hairs are kind of long. So like sometimes they sag a little bit on that. So I just use a little bit of makeup to like keep them up a little bit. Totally fine and acceptable. Just don't go overboard. Just like err on the side of like, the shape and size that's already there is probably what works for my face. Yeah, poor Rachel. I'm glad her eyebrows grew back. She's an icon. To be fair, wax look eyebrowless goth is a wild aesthetic. It is kind of cool. I did know a girl who preferred to be called Raven in high school, but our world history teacher definitely still called her Cheryl, who shaved them off and then like drew dotted lines on with a purple eyebrow pen. And honestly, like if you are gonna do something to your eyebrows, do that. Like do something. Either go with what you've got or do something fucking wild. But as far as like if you're just trying to like adhere to beauty trends, don't do it. If it's just like trying to like fit in with whatever is like popular on Instagram, don't over pluck your eyebrows and don't like overdraw your eyebrows. You won't feel good about it in 20 years time. But if you're like, I just want to do something wild and crazy and cool, shave those bad boys off and draw crazy things on, because it does look fucking cool. A friend of mine got tattooed brows to resolve a very pale eyebrow hair issue. That's fair. And I think we said earlier in the stream, like I as far as like the tattooed and microbladed eyebrows, I've seen a lot of really, really good work. In fact, I know there's somebody I grew up with who does microblading, and it looks really natural and beautiful. And 100% support it. 100% support like enhancing what you already have. Never change yourself permanently for any trend. That's it. It's more like don't go crazy and do something for a trend that you'll regret. And that's why I'm like, the drawing thicker eyebrows on with crayon looks bad, but it's not as harmful as like the overplucking. The overplucking, you can do damage, and I know a lot of people who are like, 7 to 10 years older than me and were like into the trend at the time, who like just never got their eyebrows back. It's better to be cautious. You can do it with makeup. Look, I thinned my eyebrows out. I love that body modders never seem to follow trends. Yeah. I mean, that's a commitment to aesthetic rather than trend. Maybe that's the thesis of this. It's like, don't let outside pressure make you do something weird to your body. If it's just that, like, you did it for you and you like it, fucking great. All right. I'm going to pour one last glass of wine. Someone I know looks like an actual succubus now. Heartstones and all. Iconic. Honestly. And I stand. Sometimes society gets it right. I think I was a big fan of one of the like makeup eras that I'm a huge fan of is like the 40s, because I think probably because of the war, everything kind of returned to like very much a natural look again, because people didn't have a whole lot of time to do a lot of shit. So there's a little bit of lipstick. Natural brows returned after 2 decades of overplucking, and not much else. Yeah. And aesthetically, that is pleasing to me. Not that other like things aren't. I'm running out of things to say here. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. Does anybody have any last questions before Speak now or forever hold your peace about the 5K stream. God, I really should have made notes for myself, shouldn't I? On like how to end this. Thank you. Gonna keep this I'm gonna keep this as a video on demand, and I've said a couple of times that I'm gonna I'll probably also select the option to have the chat replay so that people in the future can watch it. I'm also gonna when I get a moment, it might be a couple of days, just because I'm going up to Portland for the weekend, and then I'm doing Thanksgiving, but I'm gonna try to do the I'm gonna edit the description to have like time codes for the videos that we watched and everything, so that people can skip around if they want to. But I'm gonna leave it up. Let me know in the comments, I guess, if you want me to do another stream like this again. I do plan on doing a music stream on Black Friday. Music streams are, feel free to throw questions at me, but they're like completely unrelated to my work as a video essayist. I just keep them on the same channel. I wanted to say how much I appreciate your videos. Thank you very much. I hope to be making more very, very soon. I had like a busy few months, and now I'm unemployed-ish. Still kind of occasionally working, doing bits and bobs for the company that I used to be full-time for, but mostly unemployed, and therefore have a lot of time to create content. P.S. Love your dress. Thank you. It's unique vintage. It is very historically inaccurate, but it's supposed to be 20s inspired. Thanks so much. Had a nice evening learning things and looking forward to the next music stream. Thank you, Alex, fellow musician, much more talented musician than I am. So with that, we've been streaming for 2.5 hours now. Go me. I'm like half of a normal streamer. That's a lot for me. Cool. So I'm gonna let you guys go for the night. Go subscribe to the 2 channels that I watch videos from. Talent is a lie hoot. That sounds like the thesis for a video essay that like maybe that sounds like a liberal cook video essay, because it sounds like something that someone much smarter than me should unpack. But go subscribe to the couple of channels that we watched tonight. And thank you so much. This has been so great. I'm so happy to have all of you guys and to have had such a lovely night streaming. I'm gonna go finish this glass of wine, finish packing, and then I got an early flight to catch in the morning. See you on the flip side. Get like a stream deck with a big off button so you can end the stream without having to think about how to end it. Someday, you know what? When I'm a huge channel, somebody else is gonna run this shit because I don't know what I'm doing. But for now, love you guys. And I'll see you at the next stream. Bye!